Major funding for Wild Florida is provided by the Batchelor Foundation, encouraging you to enjoy and preserve the natural beauty of Florida.
These masters of camouflage are lightning fast.
There we go.
And sometimes highly unpredictable.
They'll hiss and strike, and they sometimes will look much more like a rattlesnake, even than a rattlesnake.
This week on Wild Florida, we get wrapped up in Florida's native snakes. I'm Hunter Reno, and this is Wild Florida.
This is what's known as an albino tiger reticulated python. Nice ruby red eyes to it, nice clean white markings.
They come in a wide array of colors and an assortment of dispositions.
They're pretty temperamental, they're pretty quick to strike.
They are surrounded by myth.
You have the stories of Adam and Eve and the serpent that, caused all the bad.
And misconceptions.
They're slimy, they're wet, and, snakes go out of their way to bite you.
So why do snakes provoke such fear in some?
Their whole life they've been indoctrinated that snakes are bad. They're scary, they're bad, they're evil. So when they see a snake, they panic.
And fascination in others.
I've been bitten by venomous snakes more than I care to count.
In Florida, exotic species seem to get all the press, but the state is home to a large variety of native species as well. So I set out to unearth and understand some of the slithering creatures in our own backyards. Most people are intimidated by snakes, but then there are people like Joe Wasilewski, who shares his home with all kinds of critters and several species of snakes. Hey Joe, how you doing?
Hey, good to see you, Hunter.
Joe has a tremendous collection of venomous and non-venomous species. Now look at what this snake is doing right now. I mean, it's like a bracelet. He's got a strong grip, but it's more of seems like just to secure himself, not to hurt me.
He's not trying to hurt you at all, but yeah, he's on there.
He's definitely on. He says, I want to go to my friend Joe. This menacing looking animal is actually a harmless pine snake.
Yeah, and see that tongue?
Yeah.
That's how they smell, and they feel the air around them and the world around them with that tongue.
Tell me about their other senses.
They actually feel vibrations with these very tender scales on the belly.
Which, if you could feel this, it's so incredible. Oh, hello. It's so incredibly smooth. Are we going to put him down at all? Or
let's here. And that's fascinating to watch an animal without arms or legs.
Joe says it's often hard to tell the difference between dangerous and docile. And to prove his point, he puts me to the test.
One of these is drop for drop of venom, the deadliest snake in the U.S., and the other is completely harmless.
Do you have to guess which one is which?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm guessing that one of us is holding a coral snake.
You are.
I am. Wow. But they look so much alike. And what are you holding?
This is called a scarlet king snake. It's, like I said, the pure mimic for the coral snake. And notice how the red rings are bordered by black on the king snake. The coral snake, red rings are bordered by what?
Yellow.
Right.
So make note of that at home.
Well, don't you remember the old poem?
Tell me again.
Red touches yellow, kill a fellow.
That's right.
Red touches black, it's okay, Jack.
Though the poem is catchy, Joe concedes it may not be easily recalled in a moment of panic.
If you're not sure, leave him alone.
Definitely.
That's the best thing to do.
Isn't that amazing that this size of a snake could kill you?
It takes as little as one drop to kill a person, but that being said, there's been one fatality in the last 40 years.
That's because coral snakes prefer to be undercover, and when they move,
it literally disappears in front of your eyes.
Their bright colors will strobe, allowing them to vanish.
See?
Whoa, watch
Is
out,
that
Willow.
amazing?
Whoa. That is amazing. My gosh, look how fast it moved.
And disappear.
Then Joe disappears and returns with another test. Okay, I'm going to unlock this one.
Okay. You might want to back up just a little bit.
Wow.
Let's just put him right down here.
He's formidable.
That looks pretty dangerous, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And then let's bring this one here out.
Ooh,
Okay.
He looks more dangerous.
Well, actually, one of these is a harmless water snake, and the other is the cottonmouth water moccasin.
I think the water moccasin must be that one there. And I'm just guessing that based on the head is really impressive.
Right. This is the water snake. Water snake feeds primarily on fish, frogs, and like salamanders, aquatic creatures. Same thing with the water moccasin, except they could subdue like mammals and birds, and so their diet is much more varied. Between his eye and his nostril is a heat sensory pit. I don't know if you could see it from here.
Yes, I can.
And they can hit warm-blooded prey accurately, even in pitch dark.
On that note, we get this guy secured back in his box.
Wait.
Yep. Got to get them all in.
Now! Okay.
And now Joe brings out a species I've never seen before. In fact, it's the largest species of snake in the United States. Wow, what is this, Joe?
That's an indigo snake.
And this is native to Florida?
Native to Florida, southeastern U.S. This type of snake can grow to be 8 feet in length.
Look at that color. It is gorgeous. Because of their non-aggressive manner and stunning skin, indigos were once over-collected.
Because of that, and the habitat loss, they're very rare.
Today they are protected by state and federal law.
You can see they're not wet and slimy.
Exactly.
They're dry, just shiny.
Smooth.
Smooth. There's
Not
no odor.
slimy.
And look, in the sun, you can see the iridescence of the rainbow.
Oh, yeah. This is just...
Yes.
This is my favorite.
And
From my favorite snake, we proceed to Joe's favorite, one that makes me a little nervous.
You hear the sound.
I hear the sound.
It's a warning sound. And it works, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm giving it a real wide berth. Oh, Joe, come on now.
Oh, he was a mile away, Hunter.
Was he?
Eastern diamondbacks are just, to me, like the apex predator. This animal can grow up to be over 7 feet long. And they blend in so well that if this one wasn't rattling, you could walk right past it. The rattle is material, just like your fingernail. And sometimes, like your fingernail may break. They might not have a rattle, and they could vibrate all day long and not make a sound. So that's one of the misconceptions. They don't have to rattle in order to strike.
Yeah, I can tell that he is really raring to go. And he could strike 2.5 feet.
Given the right circumstance, they could strike their whole body. It's just ready. Just, you get in that zone.
But as vicious as rattlesnakes may seem, Joe says they are only a threat when they feel threatened.
The last thing they want to do is bite somebody. They use that venom to secure food. People who are bitten, 95% of the time, are what we call provoked bites. You know, very, very seldom does someone get bitten, accidentally.
But snake handlers like Joe are almost certain to be envenomated a time or two.
Eventually, I made a mistake with one of these, but...
But you're here to tell us about it.
I'm here to tell you, yeah. I had to get 18 bottles of anti-venom.
Fortunately, only one fang penetrated Joe's skin, and he sought treatment quickly.
I was at work the next day. Okay, I got him.
Well, that was the snake that nearly ended Joe's career. Now we're going to see the snake that really started his career. Here he comes. The garter snake was one of his first reptile pets.
It doesn't look like much.
He found this one in his own backyard.
Yeah. This is another snake that used to be very common, all urban areas, all over Florida. And realistically, when was the last time anybody's really seen one?
Yeah, I haven't seen one in a long time.
And people used to call these garden snakes. They still do.
Exactly.
Because they see them in the garden, but that's not it. They're garter snakes.
Now, are we going to let this one go?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to show it to you, and then certainly he can go right back to where we found him.
Okay.
Right here would be good.
Good spot.
And we'll just kind of watch him disappear. And he's gone.
I follow the snakes. Wherever they go, I follow.
Now, finding snakes in the wild is not so easy. Now, you had said this was an easy access spot. Didn't seem too easy access to me.
No, believe it or not, this is relatively easy.
I met up with snake chasers Stephanie Weiss and Becky Bolt in Titusville, Florida. And let's just say, Indiana Jones, move over. Their focus is the federally protected indigo snake.
They're very docile and non-aggressive, so they're easy to handle, and they're non-venomous. So that's
another plus.
Yeah, that's a big plus.
The scientists track these snakes here in the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge, where 140,000 acres of protected land is home to a rich array of wildlife, including an indigo population estimated to be in the low hundreds. Well, I have my special badge because we're at the Kennedy Space Center, and we are actually within the Merritt Island Refuge, and we are going to go hunting for indigo snakes. Now, how likely are we to see any snakes today?
Chances are good. We have a couple radio tagged out here, and we're just going to see if we can pick up a signal and see how far we can get. This is an antenna. This is our radio receiver, and the snake has a transmitter surgically implanted, and we've been tracking them for a couple of years out here.
Here we go. We've still got a strong signal. Which way? After we make our way through the dense brush, we get a definite reading on the snake's whereabouts.
Yeah, this is where it's coming in the strongest. There's a hole here, and if you can see it, but
yeah.
That's probably where she is. The gopher tortoises make nice big holes, and they like to use those.
So tell me a little bit about the nature of the indigo.
They eat everything. They're opportunistic feeders, so they'll eat rats, mice, other snakes, just whatever they come across. Indigos use a wide variety of habitats. You can find them in dry habitats, or you can also find them in the wetlands. They're not always down holes. I've seen them in trees and in water.
They're very elusive. They move really fast. They use a huge area, so they're just a very difficult snake to survey for.
Becky attributes much of their decline to loss of habitat.
Particularly in Florida, you just have to drive around and look and see where acres and acres and acres of habitat are being developed. And unlike a scrub jay or a gopher tortoise, you don't go out to a place and say, oh, this is indigo snake habitat, because virtually everything can be indigo snake habitat. They're very generalists in their habits.
To demonstrate the variety of places where indigos can reside, we only need to travel down the road a bit to Canaveral National Seashore, a spectacular 24 miles of undeveloped beachfront. We search for another tagged indigo, but this, the largest species of snake in the U.S., is still not so easy to spot.
And here he is. He is in a hole underground again.
So it's positive in the sense we know where the snake is. It's
right.
Negative that you don't get to see him today. But this is a totally different habitat than the last location.
Yeah, the ocean's just right over there. You can hear it. So this is just a very dry dune, coastal dune habitat.
This is a protected area that we're in right now, and there's no access, public access. This particular snake does like to go down into an area that's more public. And that's what we don't like to see, because there's roads and things.
What has been the leading cause of mortality for the indigo snake?
Roads, vehicle. That of our radio tagged animals, the number one cause of mortality was people, running over them.
Why have the indigo snakes had a tougher time of survival than other species of snakes?
A lot of people are inherently afraid of snakes, especially large snakes. So they get killed a lot of times because of that. Also, they use a lot of area, so they have to travel a long way. These are very active hunters, so that makes them more vulnerable. People are crowding them in. It just makes it more and more difficult for them to survive.
Development and the snake's notorious reputation have proven hazardous, not only for the indigos. Other snake populations are in steep decline as well.
It's the same thing as with the indigo snakes. People are even more prejudiced against rattlesnakes. I mean, people that typically would not kill anything, they think of rattlesnake as fair game. And they don't understand how truly docile an eastern diamondback is. They would much rather run from you given the opportunity.
Wow, what have you got there?
Eastern diamondback rattlesnake.
Beautiful. Lee Moore has been working with venomous snakes for just about as long as he can remember. both native and non-native species. I stopped in to visit his home and laboratory just outside of Ocala.
He's in a semi-defensive position right now.
When he's shaking his rattle, he's saying to us,
Stay away.
stay away. Oh, you've got it, no problem, I'll stay away.
It's strictly a warning device.
Lee says that sound is one that he doesn't hear quite as often as he used to.
This snake is on a constant decline, and it has been probably for the last 20 years. And a decline in a couple of different aspects. First in numbers, also in size. Back in the 60s and pre-60s, people would find 7-foot snakes. You don't find them any longer. They pretty much rely on the element of surprise. To sit in a position like that, pretty much camouflaged, hidden. Its prey gets close enough, he'll strike out with accuracy.
Now I get to meet another Florida rattler, but one that you probably won't find in the wild, south of Gainesville. It's known as the canebrake rattlesnake.
Even though it's highly venomous, they tend to be a lot more docile. If you notice, there's a gold
Yeah, he's got beautiful markings with
down
this
his
black
back.
taper. Tell me a little bit about the senses that snakes utilize.
Well, the snakes are actually very sensitive creatures. Just because they don't have any apparatus to hear from does not mean that they cannot pick up vibrations. But their primary senses that they depend on is the scent from their nostrils, also that tongue that you see flicking out there. The heat sensing pit and the pit viper can actually determine the size of its prey and everything, and it would know how much venom it needs to inject.
Now, speaking of venom, you have a facility here where you extract venom from the snakes. Can we take a look at that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Before we enter the snake lab, Lee shows me the smooth molt of an eastern diamondback. All snakes frequently shed their skin as they grow. Well, one of the things that's surreal to me is that it comes off in one piece. Would that often be the case?
Ideally.
Or if they're in the wild?
Ideally, under normal conditions in the wild, most of the time a snake will shed one piece. It'll just peel backwards. And so it's actually inside out, but as it came off, it left the last segment of rattle.
And that rattle doesn't sound quite as intimidating in human hands.
You'd never be able to imitate that. No. You cannot rattle.
It's a finesse that yes, I definitely don't have. Lee has experienced the destructive nature of venom firsthand, but he is confident that we're on the cusp of discovering valuable medicinal uses for the toxic substance.
Possible treatment of neuropathic disorders, such as Parkinson's disease, even Alzheimer's. They've found some potential uses for it.
The stunning eastern green mamba is a tree climber native to East Africa.
Before I take them out, though, I will need a little bit more room.
So I will step back appropriately. They are beautiful.
I don't know what it is about me, but they always want to get away from me. Tim, turn around, bite whatever you can. They have small fangs. They're known for scratching you. And that's all they need to do. Their fangs are right in front of the top of their mouth there.
And those small fangs produce a potent venom.
You see their mouths are quite flexible. I'm in no way manipulating his mouth at all. He's doing all of that. And you notice how watery his venom is. That, in addition to the toxins that it has in its venom, enables the venom to spread so rapidly throughout the system that you're feeling symptoms in a matter of seconds at times.
If that's not enough excitement for one day,
probably the most unique about him is his speed and his aggression.
Lee brings out the assertive forest cobra, another African native with a toxic bite.
As you will see, he's very fast, but he will pretty much bite at anything that's in front of him. He's like a cobra with ADD. He does not concentrate on anything except what he wants to bite.
The end result of Lee's labor? A small vial of venom, which he says holds enormous potential.
What we got here is approximately 1 cc of cobra venom, and this, potentially you could get this one large cobra, in which case you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
What are the uses right now of this venom?
There has been some research that's been done on its effect that it has on some types of tumors, neoplastic growths and things, but primarily it's being extracted for production of antiserum still.
Hey Ernie, looks like we got a hot one.
Managing the largest public anti-venom bank in the country is the Miami-Dade Fire Rescue Venom Unit.
This is what we would use to treat a pit viper envenomation. A mild reaction is going to get between 6 and 12, and severe all the way up until 60 vials. Now the cost of these products is roughly between $1,100 and $1,500 a vial.
With 43 types of anti-venom covering 95% of the world's venomous creatures, the unit boasts a 100% success rate.
We've treated over 900 patients. We've never had a fatality that we've worked with.
Aside from treating the bites, they also work on preventing the bites through education.
We start as young as pre-K and work all the way up into high school. This is what you need to be careful of.
Ernie displays some of the exotic constrictors because they have similar characteristics to Florida's pit vipers.
Native pit vipers in the United States predominantly have a large triangular head. They have a thick, broad body. They have what they call elliptical pupils, or cat eyes, and they have holes in their face, hence their name pit viper.
The one venomous snake that defies those general rules is the coral snake. Ernie's only venomous bite was from this species.
Everybody that works with venomous snakes at one point in their career is going to be envenomated. It's the nature of the job.
The cobra I'm going to show you today is a king cobra. I've been bitten by venomous snakes more than I care to count. 20 times by cobras, that I do know. Maybe 20 bites by rattlesnakes, another 30 bites by different various vipers from Africa and Asia.
Most victims are males between the ages of 14 and 45, and most are not professionals.
I don't know if it's fear factor or Superman scenario. They think they can handle the animals, they pick them up, and that's when they get bitten.
And the most common venomous snake bites in Florida?
The water moccasins and the pygmy rattlers. A pygmy rattler doesn't need a very big area. They're small, people don't see them.
It's that camouflaging ability that causes most accidental snake bites. Can you spot this copperhead? Or the eastern diamondback rattlesnake? The Venom Unit recently responded to a diamondback envenomation. The victim? Joe Wasilewski.
This happens to be a reptile show. There won't be any pretty little parrots in this show.
Here at Parrot Jungle Island, Joe puts his snakes to work on a mission to educate people about the true nature of these misunderstood creatures.
I do have a question for everybody. Is there anybody out here afraid of snakes? I ask for their reactions first to see who's afraid of snakes, and then you bring a snake out and you're gonna get their real reaction. You got him, Hunter?
I got him.
Tiny little snake, not dangerous at all. It's not dangerous. 90% of all the snakes in the world are not dangerous. Only 10% are.
In fact, out of approximately 70 species and subspecies of Florida snakes, only 6 are venomous. The eastern diamondback, the pygmy rattlesnake, the water moccasin, the copperhead, the canebrake rattlesnake, and the coral. But with a little knowledge and some common sense, we can learn to deal with even the most intimidating.
95% of all venomous snake bites are what we categorize as provoked bites, which means you leave the snake alone, you'll never be bitten. So, don't scare me now. I got him.
Joe throws in a few theatrics to grab their attention.
Oh no. Now, Robin. Okay.
But his mission remains education.
In the show today, I'm going to describe to people and show them the invasive exotic snakes that are living in the Everglades. Now that's called a Burmese python, folks. Okay, so just grab a hold of it. No, with your hands now.
While this 2-year-old Burmese python seems easy to care for, this 11-year-old can be a handful.
Okay, now do we have your attention, Mom and Dad? I'm not saying you shouldn't buy a pet snake for your son or daughter.